Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Becky Worley.
And I'm Dr. Kiki.
Behind the board is our stupendous producer, Eric Lanigan.
Hey, stupendous. I like that.
Yeah, somebody wrote that in for me.
That was me.
Yeah.
I was here to help.
Oh, thanks, Becky.
This is the show where we kick around the tech news of the day, try to make some sense of it all. And yesterday we closed the show with a rumor, and we said we'd get back to you on it, and so we are. The iPad 3G user email address leak is all over the news today.
It's huge. It was one of the first headlines I saw this morning.
Right, 114,000 emails leaked, basically slurped off of the AT&T website by hackers who slurped, I love that word, who used a very, what it seems like a straightforward hack.
It's not even, it's a hack in the loosest sense of the word. Essentially,
it's like, look, there's a window.
Yeah, the iPad had a feature in it that allowed you to associate an ICC-ID with your email address, so that when you wanted to log into the AT&T website from the iPad, you didn't have to enter your email address again. You just put in your password. How handy is that?
They preloaded all of those email addresses onto the AT&T site, and they were just sitting there waiting for the iPad with the associated ICC-ID to come and match them up.
A group calling itself Goatse Security revealed the flood of Valleywag yesterday. That's where we got the story. And so all they did was a brute force attack where they tried a bunch of different ICC IDs until they got a return and then read out the email address. Came up with a bunch of important people's email addresses.
And that's the thing, is the 114,000 email addresses are not just anybody. It's some of the most important people in media, in the alpha testers.
Which raised a question in Dave's mind, and he sent us an Og Vorbis file with the question.
Hi, this is Dave from PA, Jekyll from the chat. I'm not an Apple apologist. I've never owned any sort of Apple product in my life. But what is the big deal about all these iPad emails that got leaked? Was John C. DeVork on the list and suddenly in risk of receiving spam for the first time? I'd bet that at least half the emails are publicly available, and even the ones that aren't, so what? Am I missing something significant here about the device IDs that were also included, or is this just a whole lot of smoke? Thanks. Love the network, love the show, love the work you all do for new media.
Good question, Dave.
Well, for one thing, you have to think about the people whose names were exposed. We're talking about New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel, Harvey Weinstein, film producer Diane Sawyer. These are heavy hitters. And so I think that it seemed sort of titillating, and I think that's one of the reasons why it became a huge news story, that these people's email addresses could have been made public. So that seemed like a newsworthy aspect of it in my mind.
Additionally, though, the just having an email address, I mean, that's going to increase the amount of spam that they potentially get having that email address out there. But the question is whether or not those people, I mean, there are people in NASA, in the government, I mean, there are people in positions that if they were able to get hacked based on their email address becoming available, there is potentially sensitive information that could be, released. But so that's a sensitive issue.
I think it's overblown, because if I know Bob White works at NASA, I can guess it's bwhite@nasa.gov or Bob at nasa.gov. I can try a bunch of different ones. This doesn't tell me a whole lot, because most of these email addresses are guessable already.
Completely. And I think that part of it, it's just email addresses. I think that was pretty minimal. There was a lot of speculation at first. The New York Times speculated via one of the security consultants that they interviewed that they could also have grabbed location data. But then they went on to say, but that would be if they could marry the ICC-ID to databases that are not tied to AT&T's website. Well, no joke. I mean, it would be Christmas every day if you had the keys to Santa's house. So that seemed like a kind of a dumb assertion. And then the other one was that Gizmodo said that they thought this could lead to SIM card cloning, but I haven't seen anything or anyone else corroborating that theory. That seems far-fetched as well, just because you have the ICC-ID. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, and I'd love feedback from that if people want to send us that, but I don't know. Just email addresses? Meh.
I don't think the ICC-ID is that valuable. I could be wrong too, but from what I know, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I had to call AT&T at 2:30 in the morning when GMA said they wanted this story, and they issued this very standard statement saying that they've fixed the breach, that all the names are off of the website, they're sorry, they take privacy seriously, it won't happen again. mea culpa, you know?
Yeah.
But the organization that did this, they weren't doing it maliciously. They were kind of opening. It
was a plea for attention.
It got them attention, but at the same time,
Goatse Security, for goodness sake.
Yeah, it's a great name.
Right.
I love it. But they're putting it out there, publicizing it, and letting AT&T know that they had a problem, as opposed to
what they
getting
should have done is
more
contact
addresses.
AT&T. What they did is they went to a bunch of press agencies. They went
ignored
to
them.
Forbes and Washington Post and the Chronicle. All those places turned them down. It wasn't until they got to Gawker that they actually got somebody to pick it up.
Yep.
They've said that they did go to AT&T. AT&T said that they didn't. So it sounds like a little bit of he said, hacker said, company said, said. But it does raise a good point. You know, I remember when I was doing security at Tech TV, it's really hard to figure out how to communicate with hackers in a formalized way. Like, is this just some wackadoo sending some information to us, or is this a real credible tip? I think media organizations don't have a clue on how to handle any of these kind of tips from groups that are called Goatse.
Yeah.